When the world decides to be on the edge, we say not.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back. We are back. Today's episode is about a very special individual, a special individual who has scored 6 centuries, 14 half centuries, and taken few wickets, but has finally decided to call it a day on his international cricket. Uh, we're talking about Ashwin. For a boy who wanted to become an opener, for a boy who was told by the doctors at a young age that he might not be able to play cricket ever again. I think he's done a quite a decent job. Um, yeah, while writing this introduction, I was sort of thinking कि अश्विन को इंट्रोड्यूस करें कैसे. सो दिस इज हाउ आई सॉर्ट ऑफ थॉट अबाउट इट. यार अगर स्पिन बॉलिंग एक कंपनी होती ना, तो रविचंद्रन अश्विन उस कंपनी का चीफ डिज़ाइन ऑफिसर होता. सीईओ नहीं होता, सीईओ नहीं होता, चीफ डिज़ाइन ऑफिसर होता, जिसने पूरी ज़िंदगी स्पिन आर्ट पे जितना ज़्यादा एनरिच कर सकता था उस पे लगा दिया. लाइक ऑल द कंपनीज एंड लाइक ऑल सीडीओज, it might not always have been cost effective, but for sure he was making the art much better. I think that's what Ravichandran Ashwin was as an international cricketer. Quick thoughts on Ashwin, guys.
Yeah, I think you wrapped it well. I think the first thing that comes to mind is him being, I think, true to his art, which was spin, and then next true to the teams he's played for. I think those were the two things that stand out for him. Spin, obviously, while people have spoken about different mystery spinners or spinners that have we've seen in the last 20, 30 years, who've broadly taken skill to a next level, or people aren't able to read them, but from a scale of skill and the amount of variations he had, I think he topped his class on it. And I think another thing that stood out for me, which people don't do right now, is play for his state, play for TNPL, for other tournaments whenever he got time. He's the only, I think, one of the only cricketers who, while he has his academy, also goes there and teaches students. It's not just his management or his name given there. So I think there is a lot of contributions, as you said, to the art of spin that goes with him.
Yeah, so when Ashwin sort of, let's just put this into context, right? When Ashwin came into the test side, he was filling in shoes or boots which were really big, right? It was Anil Kumble who sort of uh, passed over on the mantle to him, along with Harbhajan Singh, who also sort of was at the fag end of his career. तो मेरे को एंड आई हैड सीन अश्विन, हम सब ने अश्विन को स्टार्टिंग में सीएसके के लिए खेलते हुए देखा है. So I always thought of him as a wily bowler, but I never thought he'll be a great test bowler, because I still maintain in the initial years Ashwin's brilliance was too good for his own good, right? He's a brilliant, sharp mind, but I think given all of his variations, you would see him trying a lot of stuff in the beginning. I think over the years he's just sort of sharpened his skills to exactly understand ki bhai, what works for him, what does not work for him, and the results were all for there for all of us to show. I mean, so good was his art ki mujhe, I remember, like Suri was saying earlier today, he's not here with us on this podcast today, Suri, but we were discussing, right? Sometimes we remember him for his batting performances more than his bowling performances. He was so good with his bowling performances that he never sort of went noticed. बिल्कुल ही, he used to dominate home test matches. So brilliant guy, great mind. Sometimes too good for his own good, but yeah, yeah.
Over to Chennai Super Kings now. Yeah, one of the questions that we wanted to quickly touch upon today is: do you think is spin undervalued in international cricket?
90s में यार, जब इंडिया ने जब से मैंने देखना स्टार्ट किया, आई थिंक वी वर ऑलवेज वेरी गुड विद स्पिन बॉलिंग, राइट? आई थिंक our biggest challenge was finding really good, genuine fast bowlers. We had a few in pockets, right? There was Srinath, Prasad was there, but we never had like a good triplet or quartet of fast bowlers who could go and dominate outside of India, right? So, Hamara, as a team, as viewers, we were always looking for bowlers who could do well in away conditions. India was smashing it always in Indian conditions with the likes of Kumble, even Rajesh Chauhan. Koi aata tha, they never used to do well in India in terms of a foreign team. So we almost always used to take for granted कि इंडिया में तो यार हम जीत ही जाएंगे, मतलब जो मर्जी हो जाए. तो you put a Nilesh Kulkarni, sorry if you're listening to this podcast, Mr. Kulkarni, but all due respect to your talent, you put anybody out there, right? They would be able to do well. That was taken for granted. Such was the master class and wizardry of all our spinners. Therefore, I think we've never really sort of respected spin bowling performances as much as maybe the fast bowling performances. At least as a viewer, I haven't. Apart from a few that I remember top of my mind, Harbhajan's uh, 32 wicket series against Australia in 2001, because we were almost being smashed or beaten in that series. Kumble's 10 wicket haul. But apart from that, I think it's always been taken for granted कि यार कुछ भी हो, you roll your arm over and the ball will spin in India, right?
Yeah, I think most points are covered, but again, I think batsmen are valued more, whatever said and done, maybe because of the entertainment value, or a straight drive has been admired more than a googly. That is how the game has been, and I think amongst the bowlers, I won't say spinners are less admired than fast bowlers, but as Chaudhary said, they've been fast bowlers have been rare for us as Indians, so we've maybe longed for a good fast bowler more and taken spinners for granted. But I think between spinners also, we've always admired leg spin more than off spin. So I think that ways off spin somehow, I don't know, but घर पे भी खेलते हुए सबको लगता था ऑफ स्पिनर को तो मार ही सकते हैं, बॉल अंदर ही आएगी, सो मे बी इट्स easier and playable. So I think in that ranking in cricket, from the most admired to the least, maybe the off spinners role comes right at the bottom, maybe with a wicket keeper or otherwise, I don't know. But I think he's proved it wrong, one with his variations, and second with the success he's got in the country and outside. And also, I think whatever said and done, his records speak for himself. I think I remember that point where it was a matter of a few test matches. He always became fastest to 250, 300, 350, 400. वो चलता ही रहा था. It never ended. So yeah.
यार फॉर मी फास्ट बॉलिंग इज लाइक तंदूरी चिकन. ठीक है. जहाँ पे ना एक एक तंदूरी चिकन के पास फायर है, वैसे ही फास्ट बॉलर के पास स्पीड है. कुछ हो या ना हो, स्पीड तो आएगा ही, जिससे ड्रामा भी आएगा. एवरीथिंग विल कम अलोंग विद इट. वाइल फॉर मी स्पिन इज मोर लाइक अ बटर चिकन. बचा वो तंदूरी चिकन है, उसके साथ क्या कर सकते हैं? हाउ डू वी sort of make it much more delicious and sort of while not forgetting the tandoori chicken that you had last night, you still want to have a taste of butter chicken in your mouth. I genuinely believe spin in general will have more layers to it as compared to in anything else.
And
And
most spinners also have more layers to them as compared to fast bowlers.
so and adding to what Rohan said, yeah, um, there's this Dutch legend who used to play for Barcelona, and he used to say, yeah, playing football is simple. Simple football in general is a very simple sports, but playing it simply is the most difficult part. Ashwin took that off spin, which was considered to be the most easy thing to do, and added layers and layers and layers to it. Uh, But yeah, it doesn't take away the fact that the fast bowlers will also be treated, or a batsman will be treated with much more respect than any of the other which also brings me to the second quote. Sorry, Chaudhary.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, in his book, now there's an interaction between him and W.V. Raman, where Ashwin has given it back to W.V. Raman, saying कि भाई कुछ भी कर लो, bowlers will always be considered as a blue collar laborers. That's how it will always be. एक नेट पे अगर हम गंदी बॉल कराते हैं तो हम सॉरी बोलते हैं. बैट्समैन जब गंदा शॉट मारता है तो कभी सॉरी नहीं बोलता है. So that's how it is. Sorry, Chaudhary, you're saying something.
Yeah, I was just saying that, just reflecting on the point of spinners, right? I think Abhi, as viewers, with the onset of big hitting, and also the fact that batsmen don't play spin as much as well as sort of they used to do earlier, right? Now they play fast bowling a lot better. I think we're seeing spinners being sort of respected slightly more. If you ask me, even in IPL bids and teams wanting to sort of make those breakthroughs, those two or three spinners in the side, especially in the shorter formats, if you ask me, are gaining a lot more prominence than they would have possibly earlier. Yeah.
Moving on, where do you rate Ashwin among the legends? I'm gonna take this first. I wanted to quickly do a dipstick on Indian spinners. I'm gonna restrict to spinners. Then I thought it's gonna be too unfair to Ashwin to do that. Let's not do that. Then I said, कि overall across the globe internationally, where does he stand? Yeah, uh, call it the swag, call it whatever it was, but I think for me, Shane Warne will always be the topmost spinner that we have witnessed. I am gonna be blunt enough and say that Ashwin will come a close second to that. That's where it will be for me. Yes, there's a Muralidharan. Yes, there's a Bajuba. Yes, there's a Nathan Lyon. And in all honesty, what I was seeing in पांच spinners में पूरा टेस्ट स्पिन खत्म हो जाता है. मतलब that's how it is. But I think for me, Ashwin will be the close second. And again,
Yeah, I feel I don't know, but I think Ashwin's given more than just bowling figures, and I'm just putting context to it. I think we had at a point, as Chaudhary said, we had taken Indian wins for granted. There was a period from I think 2013 till maybe a year back, or actually beginning of this year, when we won everything at home. I think we won all the series. I think England was the only one which, and I don't remember which year that was, which we lost in the middle, but we won most series. But I think the contribution of the Indian lower order is not valued enough. I think between Ashwin, Saha, Jaddu, what they've given on Indian wins is huge from a batting perspective. If I'm not wrong, he averages around 26, 27 with the bat, which is a decent average for maybe a people have played 7 8 years with that kind of an average at number six, number seven. Uh, Plus, you get 500 wickets as a bonus on top of that. I think it is a big contribution. So I think he's contributed a lot to the game overall. I think he had a personality, while Vaughn might have been more vocal about himself, his personality. But Ashwin had I think a strong enough or stronger, maybe a stronger mind than a few others for taking brave calls. I think they were brief. While we've spoken about batting, there were brief instances when he's led teams in the IPL, etc. I think he made statements with Kings 11 Punjab as well. So it'll be, I think, unfair to rate where he stands, but I think his contribution will be seen more than just his bowling records, I feel.
Rohan said, I mean, ये question हमने सोचा था, but I think as Rohan saying, like, it's difficult to really compare. I think what I can safely say is of his generation, um, of his contemporaries, Ashwin was like massively ahead as compared to anybody else. I know Lion has sort of taken that case enough, especially in Aussie conditions. But just in terms of the guile, presence of mind, and the ability to sort of turn around matches by himself, he was far far ahead than any of his contemporaries. As Rohan said, 2013-14 up until now, we hadn't lost anything at all, even in limited overs format up until Champions Trophy 2017-2018. I think Ashwin Jaddu were doing a job of holding those 25 overs really well, taking wickets in the middle. Uh, haven't seen somebody in the last 8-10 years of this caliber sort of taking the mantle of spin bowling for his team. So I think for his contemporaries, definitely the best. In terms of legends, interesting part, all of the legends that you're talking about, Mutha Muridhan, Shane Warne, Kumble, Ashwin, all are really intelligent people. So brain right up there. Uh, in terms of just viewership and watching, I would say Vaughn, of course. Like you can't really. I mean, Vaughn was a magician. All of them were, but Vaughn was a sexy magician. You might want to call him, right? Dekar was other. Murli maybe second. I would say Ashwin Kumble. I don't want to rank them at all, but just in terms of watching them bowl, maybe I don't know, man. I don't know to rate it. As I said, I remember Ashwin's ball to Alistair Cook dipping inside and taking top of off. मैं बोल रहा हूँ यार ये मैं इस पे कैसे comment कर सकता हूँ? So let's let's leave it. Let's leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think India will, again, thankfully, boom is there, but I think India will miss a proper match winner in Test cricket, a proper match winner who can change the game when is needed. And as Rohan said, not just by bowling but by batting also. So that was Ashwin for us. Uh, Fun part, and I think might be the easiest part. What do you think Ashwin is going to do after retirement? What's his next move?
कंटेंट तो है ही वो तो आई थिंक चल ही रहा है सो आई थिंक दैट ही इज बीन सक्सेसफुल एट बट आई थिंक ही I don't think he's one who'll leave the art of spin bowling. I feel so. I think he has a good academy running in Chennai. I don't know if that is one side he wants to levitate. I don't know if it's spin bowling coaching, maybe younger generation. Maybe we might see 5 6 years down a spinner mentored by him or coming through his ranks. And I think he has a good opening in commentary, and I'm sure with his openness and his mind, he'll be great on the test field with the other good commentators we have.
I think if I'm a current bunch of commentator, I will be worried about my job for sure. I will be, but as you said, Rohan, in his speech in the dressing room, also said he said my cricket nut is not going away. I will be that nerd who loves cricket inside out. So yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's still a 5 years, 6 years down the line conversation, but I genuinely believe Ashwin can be a good coach to have. Uh, an intelligent, bold, aggressive but grounded coach that we should have in 5 years down the line. I think that's a role. It's gonna have its own storm for sure, because there will be certain bold decisions that will be taken once he comes at the helm. But R Ashwin, India coach, has got a nice sound to it.
Tell me one thing. When you play IPL, you're not allowed to play any other leagues, is it? If you're playing as a retired cricketer for an IPL franchise, can you go ahead and play other leagues? You can't. You can't participate.
You
Yeah.
You can
to
stick to
Yeah.
India leagues, but BCCI approved leagues, but you can't go abroad and play for a franchise.
Yeah, I was wishing that was not the case, and had that not been the case, I would have said, look, he's possibly going to play a
BBL.
lot more leagues. Yeah, I
yeah,
would have loved to see him play the
yeah,
BBL, man.
big bash में
But
मजा आता.
yeah, exactly. With his aggressive mindset, I think would have
And
been
big
beautiful to
grounds.
watch. big grounds. Would have been beautiful to watch. But yeah, coaching definitely. I think he's one who's going to pass on his craft to uh, youngsters. He already has an academy, as Ron was saying. Pretty sharp guy, तो वो तो करेगा ही करेगा. I won't be surprised if he does some unique startup, man. I don't know. I was listening to somebody and he
Yeah,
said
yeah.
they said that he always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think you never know. He'll do some kick-ass AI stuff. For all you know, Ashwin is totally capable of doing it, and I hope he does it right. So, वो होगा और कुटी stories will keep carrying
Kutty
on.
stories. I think
Hopefully,
more of
yeah.
Kutty
Sorry.
stories. Huh.
More of Kuti stories, more transparent Kuti stories, more controversial Kuti stories for us to be entertained. Not saying that the ones that were there were not entertaining enough. They were very entertaining. But now I think, given there's a he's off the team now. I think he'll speak his mind even more, and I really look forward to that.
As I said, commentators right now should be really worried, guys. किसी की भी नौकरी खा सकता है. He can ask all the possible dollars for it. Um, Talking about Ashwin post retirement, how would you remember Ashwin? What do you think is Ashwin's legacy? Who is Ravi Chandran Ashwin for you? What is that stories that you're gonna come and sort of tell the upcoming generation that who was R Ashwin? Rohan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think stories wise, there are many. I think it'll start from him being part of the 2011 World Cup. I think Australia was a big game. He played and contributed. Then there was 2013 Champions Trophy. I think that was big. Then it again it runs through in the middle as a as a illustrious test career bowling and batting, and ends with a couple of highs on, I think, the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Australia, that Sydney match, and that wide left, and the last run against Pakistan in the World Cup. So I think those were his moments to remember. But overall, I think if in one line we had to remember him, I think he was a true and hardworking student of the spin bowling classroom. I think that is how I'd like to speak of him.
Amazing. We are talking. Who would have thought we'll be talking about well left for Ravi Chandran Ashwin other than Rahul Dravid? But yeah,
Rohan's covered everything, man. Rohan's covered everything apart from that Sydney Test match. Like that Sydney Test match, where Vihari and Ashwin sort of batted this out. And interestingly, I'm talking about his batting prowess here more than his bowling. But man, what a Test match! What a player! I will remember him for all the grit he had, man. In spite of I dare say this. I don't think if when you're talking about legend, I don't think he was the most skilled spinner. If you ask me, hand on heart, like skilled, very skilled, but not as skilled as a Muthaya. Maybe I don't know, but very intelligent man. Like you put when you were saying, I think of him as the chief design officer. I'm like I think of him as a chief coder for I don't know some AI shit, dude. He's so clever. So
चौधरी उसका एआई में इन्वेस्टमेंट करवा के रहेगा, मैं बता रहा
yeah,
हूँ.
चैट जीपीटी छोड़ दो यार अन्ना जीपीटी विल हैव अन्ना जीपीटी एनीवे 100% but man great just great brilliance and I don't know I want to say somebody who also has a tremendous amount of self-respect. I think we always talk of people who can take a bullet for the team. I'm sure Ashwin can, but he's someone who'd stand up for what's right, and he'd stand up for. He'd have a logical debate about logical but possibly unbiased debate about what he thinks is right. He'll never shy away from saying his mind out, right? So all of these qualities. It is what I'll remember. Yeah.
It'll be amazing when in some of these non-sporting interviews that happen. The when I say job-seeking interviews, when people start saying here, I want to have the grit of an Ashwin. I want to have the boldness and the openness of Ashwin. Interesting. It's amazing when some of these things sort of transcend the boundaries of a cricket ground. It sort of makes more sense in totality. Um, yeah, I had three things that I wanted to. I'm gonna sort of talk about Ashwin. Uh, Ashwin was a man who came from the street, uh, but never lost touch of the street. I think that was his biggest strength. I believe Ashwin was the loudest and the boldest commentator on cricket while not being a professional commentator. And third, I think that man sort of, and I think Dravid also mentioned it in the book, ki Ashwin enjoyed his soloness. He liked the being alone time. And in the cutthroat world that we sort of live in, that sort of helps someone out. I think with that soloness, he was also setting up benchmark of what he wants to do, expectations that he wants to fulfill. And I think he brilliantly encapsulates it in one of his quotes in the book, which said, worship your heroes from a distance. When you get close to them, be good enough to be one of them. I think that sort of gives a sense of the man कि यार तुम हो सकता है 100 मीटर टापने की बात कर रहे हो, पर मैं दिमाग में 150 लेके बैठा हुआ हूँ अभी. So I'm gonna learn to sort of do that. But yeah, on that note, final word, Ashwin, sir, you surely love the street, and because of that, you had the country and also had the world and also had the cricketing world, and we can't wait to see what's next for R Ashwin. On that note, guys, over and out.